everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Today we are here with the session 1 of Liver Care web series, and we have a very renowned specialist, Professor Mohammad Imran from Services Hospital Lahore. He is serving as the dean also at Services Institute of Medical Sciences Lahore. We are here to discuss the outline of hepatitis B and C with him today. I will hand over the stage to Professor Dr. Mohammad Imran, and we will begin with our Q&A session for today. Hello, Professor Dr. Mohammad Imran. How are you?
Thank you, Marek. Walaikum salam. I am fine. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time today with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, sir, starting with hepatitis B, the first question that we have for you is, what is chronic hepatitis B?
When we say chronic hepatitis, this means that after the liver injury, if the symptoms or the biochemical abnormalities in the liver chemistry, they persist beyond 6 months, this is called chronic hepatitis B. Chronic hepatitis because of any reason. For example, if a patient gets hepatitis B on day 1 and the symptoms and the biochemical changes which is seen in the liver chemistry like ALT and AST and bilirubin, if they are cleared within 6 months, this will not be called chronic hepatitis. If the symptoms or the biochemical changes, they persist beyond 6 months, this is called chronic hepatitis. And if it is because of hepatitis B, it will be called chronic hepatitis B. Similarly, if this is because of hepatitis C, it will be called chronic hepatitis C. So chronic hepatitis basically means that the problem in the liver persists beyond 6 months.
Great. Thank you, sir. Next question that we have is, how is hepatitis B different from hepatitis C?
This is an interesting question. So one has to know that there are slight differences between these two different types of hepatitis. To start with, hepatitis B is a DNA virus, while hepatitis C is an RNA virus. The mode of transmission is percutaneous, but it is slightly different. The hepatitis B is transmitted more with the transfer of body fluids, while hepatitis C is transmitted more with the transfer of blood or blood products from one person to another person. Then the hepatitis B, more than hepatitis C, can present with acute hepatitis, that is, the patient becomes yellow. While in hepatitis C, less number of patients, they suffer from clinically recognizable acute hepatitis. There may be some patients who got clinically recognizable acute hepatitis in the form of jaundice and the symptoms of acute hepatitis. But this is more so with hepatitis B. Similarly, the chances of going into acute liver failure are very, very low with hepatitis C. And then you see the treatment policy. Before we go to the treatment, we see that more patients with hepatitis C go into chronicity than with hepatitis B, because almost 95% of the patients of chronic hepatitis B, they recover and don't go into chronicity. While more patients of hepatitis C, almost up to 80%, can go into chronicity. And then treatment plan.
Right. Thank you, sir, for explaining that in such a easy pattern. So if we further talk about specifically hepatitis B, who do you think should get tested for hepatitis B?
You see, hepatitis B should be tested, number one, in people who are living in areas or communities where the prevalence of hepatitis B is high. And you see patients, or especially men who have sex with men, they should be screened. Then patients who have been involved or engaged in intravenous drug abuse, patients who've got HIV, patients who've got family history of hepatitis B, patients who are immunocompromised, they have immune suppression for whatever reason. Then patients who've got hepatitis C, they should be screened for presence of silent hepatitis B. Then patients who got pregnant, they should be tested. Babies born to mothers who are hepatitis B positive, they should be screened. Then so these are different people who should be screened for the presence of hepatitis B.
Right. So, sir, if a patient gets tested, as you mentioned that these are the people who should get tested, then what are the major symptoms of chronic hepatitis B?
When a patient gets infected, there are two types of clinical syndromes we see. One is acute hepatitis, in which the patients become anorexic, patient is got nausea, vomiting, and patients urine color changes and they become yellow, they are jaundiced. This phase usually lasts for a shorter period and resolves, but patients who become chronic carriers of hepatitis B and they have got chronic hepatitis, they have slightly bit of different symptoms. The symptoms in acute hepatitis are usually a little more dramatic, but these are very vague symptoms in chronic cases. The patient may have low-grade fever, they may be anorexia, nausea, fatigue may be a prominent symptom. The patient may have jaundice, they may have joint pain, they may have change in the color of the urine. And once the patient's liver has decompensated, that is the very advanced stage of chronic liver disease. In those cases, patient may develop the ascites and there is abdominal distension. There may be fetal edema. Patient may go into hepatic encephalopathy. They may have. So this is very, very variable. So this varies between 6 weeks to 6 months. So anywhere between 6 weeks to 6 months, the patient can present with symptoms. So if the patient has exposure on day 1, for example, if patient gets a needle stick injury or patient has certain other reason for exposure, then after about 6 weeks to 6 months, the patient can present with hepatitis. So the incubation period for hepatitis B is quite variable. So whenever you get a patient who's got acute hepatitis, you should consider that this patient may have hepatitis B, despite that there may not be a history available or an evidence available of exposure of the patient, because many a time the exposure may be forgotten by the patient.
Now, what are the steps for the diagnosis of hepatitis B?
When we go for the assessment of hepatitis B, we got two types of tests. Number one test which pertain to the virus itself, and the second type of tests are which pertain to the liver. What is happening to the liver? So these are two tests, and sometimes we need a third category of drug test which we require for treatment purposes. So the first category is you go for the presence of virus. The initial screening test usually is the hepatitis B surface antigen. That is, we measure the presence of surface antigen in the blood. If the surface antigen is present in the blood, it means the body has been exposed to hepatitis B. And then we go for different antigens or antibodies present, for example, particularly the hepatitis B E antigen and hepatitis B E antibody. So we go for both E antigen and the antibody against E antigen, and then we can go for DNA. In some patients, when we suspect that they may have hepatitis B and they are possibly cured, we can go for core antibodies. These core antibodies sometimes may be required when we are treating patients with hepatitis C, because if they have core antibodies and they have got low surface antigen, the virus may be present inside the body, and with treatment it may be reactivated or get flared up. So we need to see core antibodies. But generally we do not do core antibodies, we go for surface antigen, and if the surface antigen is positive, we can go for E antigen, the antibody to E antigen, and we can go for DNA. And then we got a different group of investigation which pertains to the state of the liver. So we check the bilirubin, we check the ALT, AST, we can check the coagulation profile of the patient. We can test the structure of the liver non-invasively by elastography, and sometimes in very rare circumstances we can do a biopsy to assess the state of the liver.
So, sir, how likely is it that acute hepatitis B can turn into or will become chronic?
So the chances are very low.
Okay.
You see, when we compare with hepatitis B, hepatitis C, the chances of hepatitis B going into chronicity are very, very low. We see different studies have reported from 15 to 25% of the patient can go into chronicity, while for hepatitis C it is opposite. 80% of the patient go into chronicity. So the patients going into the chronicity with hepatitis B is far less than those going in chronicity with hepatitis C. So it's almost 15 to 25% of the patient they can go into chronicity.
Right, sir. Thank you very much. Such a great, and such a very well defined and in a very easy way that you explained all the answers to the basics and outlines of hepatitis. Thank you very much for your time. So this was all for today's Q&A and Liver Care 1 web series 1 session. We will see you in another session of Liver Care with another topic, and till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.